Hello.
And to you, good day.
How are you, Bashar?
Perfect, and you?
I'm just great, thanks.
All right. What would you like to discuss this day?
I want to talk about the idea of karma and timing.
Yes.
And in following your discussion and teachings, I understand there's a natural timing for things.
Yes.
Now, with the idea that everything exists here and now,
Yes.
what's the correlation? Like, for instance, I want to heal my eyesight, or I would prefer to have perfect vision without the need of glasses. I know that's possible. I also know it's probable.
Yes.
However, I feel like maybe in 3 to 6 months I would have that.
Maybe.
Maybe. Is it possible to have it sooner or
Maybe.
maybe? Okay.
It depends on its relevance, depends on why this is important to you, depends on reasons for making these kinds of choices, depends on the themes you're exploring in this life,
Mhm.
depends on many different factors. So, maybe.
So, does that apply to every preference that it's a maybe?
Yes, to different degrees of probability. Some things can be highly probable. Some probabilities can be much lower. Again, this is why it's important to understand the reasons why you are exploring what you're exploring or what it is you desire. Making sure that you are not countermanding something that you chose to explore for your own reasons that you may not be paying attention to. So the idea is not that these things can't occur, but you have to explore with honest self-investigation and transparency why what is happening to begin with, and the reasons you have for desiring the change, and
Okay, that
what
makes
that would really mean.
Is that when you talk about what it really means, is that more of an energetic frequency? Meaning, if I have a strong desire for something that has a higher probability than something else?
No, not necessarily. What we're talking about is the frequency of the belief that you have about why it's there to begin with, how it serves you having had it, what you have learned otherwise that you may not have learned having not had it, and coming to terms with how it has served you so you can really have clarity about whether it's still serving you or whether it's something that can change.
Okay. And obviously, one of the critical steps to that would be to observe it for having a positive purpose, whether I have it in my life or not.
Yes. Most people who are dealing with things that have to do with eyesight, then you are dealing with beliefs that have to do with either your visions, your ideas about whether or not you are looking outward or inward, also issues of how you see yourself. Many different kinds of belief system issues can revolve around the symbols of the eyes. So you have to have your own honest self-investigation on all these levels to understand why this experience has been created, how it can serve you to have had the experience, and whether or not you still feel you need it, or whether it still serves you in your mind, or whether it is something that you no longer need if you're willing to continue learning what you need to learn without it. Now, these are oversimplifications, but you're beginning to get the idea.
Absolutely. And is every I'll just say physical ailment, is every physical ailment symbolic of something deeper in the sense of vision being a lack of inner vision or out of vision or something of that effect?
Yes, because the idea really, as it translates in your language, is that these things are dis-eases. You are diseased about yourself in some way, shape, or form. Now, it doesn't mean that these things are always chosen for negative reasons. Sometimes they can be chosen for very positive reasons that may have to do not only with you, but with other people's interactions with you and what someone else may need to learn by you having this particular condition or a particular condition, whether it's this one or not. So you have to look for the reasons why this may be serving a bigger scope than just yourself.
Mm, that makes a lot of sense. And does karma play a factor in the themes that I would be experiencing in my life?
Yes and no. Karma is very simply, from our perspective, the idea that you recognize you may be making choices that take you out of balance, out of alignment with your true self and who you prefer to be. But the idea, therefore, of recognizing that, learning that lesson, and making choices that would help bring you back into alignment and balance with yourself is the immediate erasure of the karma.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. So is it possible to be entirely in balance and still have some form of physical ailment?
Yes, because again, it depends on the reason it's there.
Right. And would that also apply to the amount of money that someone has? They could be perfectly in balance, but maybe not have the amount of money they would prefer to have?
Well, again, if that is a statement that indicates a exclusive focus on one particular expression of abundance at the exclusion of all the other expressions of abundance, then that is a very narrow vision,
Mm.
because there are many forms of abundance. And that can also be something that the eyes express, that you're looking too narrowly at something instead of expanding your vision to include more things that could be assisting you in allowing you to do what you need to do when you need to do it, which is our definition of abundance. We understand that money on your planet is one symbol of abundance, but many people have been taught to focus on that to the exclusion of all the other forms, and that creates a narrow vision. Being given a gift is a form of abundance. Having something to trade is a form of abundance. Synchronicity is a form of abundance. Imagination is a form of abundance. Communication is a form of abundance. And there are other forms. But when all of these forms are allowed to be equal and valid to one another, not just money, then the different forms can come in when you need them to varying degrees, to varying percentages, to form the 100% abundance that is required for you to do what you need to do when you need to do it in pursuing your passion. Sometimes it may only require a little bit of money, and then something may come along synchronistically that gives you something else you need. And then you may find that someone gives you a gift that completes the idea of the 100% abundance you needed to have the ability to do what you needed to do. So by focusing only on one thing as being the only thing that could possibly be valid, that can be an expression of narrow or limited vision.
Makes a lot of sense. And so if someone's living completely in balance, would they necessarily have preferences that are outside of what they're currently experiencing?
Not really, except the general preference to know that they will always have what they need, because it's really not so much about what you want, it's about what you need that will fulfill you.
That's fascinating. And is the highest level of need just to know that you have everything you need to have when you need to have it?
Yes, it's acting on your passion, being yourself as fully as you can be, having no insistence on a particular outcome because you don't really know in your physical mind what the best possible outcome actually would look like, and remaining in a positive state no matter what happens so that you can always use it to your benefit. That's all it takes. And knowing that everything unfolds automatically from there in perfect timing.
Hmm.
That's it.
Is the 7 sequenced, master permission slip that you gave a training on years ago, is that a way to kind of ascend into that knowing that we always have what we need?
It is a way, but it's not the only way. That's why we call them permission slips. All tools, all techniques, all rituals, all objects are permission slips in your reality. So whatever you are attracted to use, the attraction tells you the attraction is there because it aligns with your belief system and will work for you. If you're not attracted to it, it won't work. The idea being that you are using this object, ritual, tool, technique, what have you, to give yourself permission to be more of yourself. But you're the ultimate permission slip. You're the one doing it. The ritual and the tool and the technique, the object isn't doing it for you. You just believe that it is.
Right, because I notice a distinction where there's tools that are working for others, and
Yes.
therefore I want to invest in those, but then I realize they don't actually work for me.
Yes. The ones you are attracted to, the ones that are presented to you through synchronicity, that are obvious in that sense, are the ones at that moment that will work for you. But remember, when you change, you're a different frequency, and so you may need a different permission slip if you need one at all. This is a dynamically changing experience and process, not a static one that remains necessarily for the rest of your life, that you would simply use the same tool over and 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 over again because you're changing.
Yeah. And I liked how you said about it being obvious. So at this level of being in balance 24/7,
Yeah,
supposedly or
yeah,
presumably, does
yeah.
that mean every next step would be obvious?
Yes. Because as we say, all you really have to do is look for the things, opportunities, activities, choices. Look for the ones you have the greatest ability to take action on that contain even the slightest bit more excitement than any other choice, and act on it first. It's very simple. Very simple. And if two or more things seem equally exciting and they actually all have the same ability to be acted upon, then it doesn't really matter which one you choose, because if it's not the one that is actually your path of least resistance at that moment, synchronicity as the organizing principle will automatically turn you back around to the one that is. It's a self-guiding principle. You can't go astray if you pay attention to the signs.
Mhm.
It's that simple.
So there's really no such thing as a mistake then?
Not really. If you're willing to learn from it, I suppose you could say paradoxically that the mistake is not being willing to learn from the experience.
Mm.
But by itself, the experience is not a mistake. It's something that puts you in touch in a way that helps you clarify what is true for you and what is not.
So, for example, like in my industry of marketing and sales,
Yes.
there's a lot of fear of missing out. That's a big tool that's used to influence people. But it sounds
Yes.
like that's not a true thing.
Not, well, it's a true thing in the sense of creating a reality that people can experience as if it's true.
Mm.
But while the experience may be real, the fundamental concept doesn't really have to exist on its own. It's an illusion. The fear of missing out is what makes you miss out.
Mm.
Otherwise, you know that as you go, if you're truly, truly acting on your passion, if you're paying attention to the negative and fear-based beliefs within you and learning to let them go because they don't serve you, then it's not really possible for you to miss anything that is truly relevant for you in life. This is just physics. This is not a philosophy. This is how it works. This is how the machine operates. You can only, quote unquote, miss things if you spend your time worrying that you will miss things, because that's the experience you're creating. So why focus on that if that's not what you prefer? Don't look where you don't want to go. Otherwise, you'll go there.
So is it fair to say that everything's perfect just as it is?
It is, but perfect doesn't necessarily mean it can't change or improve or expand or grow. But whatever it is absolutely a perfect version of that thing at that moment. Whatever it is, it's a perfect version of that thing in that state. But again, that doesn't mean you won't stop growing or changing. That's nothing to do with anything. When you talk about the idea of perfection, it doesn't mean there's an end to something. It always, always, always changes and grows. It never ends. So perfection is simply what it is, the acceptance of what it is in the moment for what it is. And that's what allows you to step to the next stepping stone, because you have perfectly validated the stone you're on. If you don't validate the stepping stone you're on, you have no place to step from to the next stone.
Right. That's
Make sense?
powerful.
Yes. Does this serve you?
It really does. And final point on that is
Yes.
if everything is perfect as it is in the moment and that
Yeah.
it's going to naturally grow and change, then there's really no necessity for us to force it to change in any degree.
You can't. There's no ability to force it to change.
Right.
Force actually prevents it from changing. Force solidifies, rigidizes it.
Wow.
Allowance allows it to change. Every single being has their own flow, their own current in the ocean of creation. All you have to do is go with your flow. Your flow knows where you need to go. Surrendering is not giving up control. Surrender is surrendering to the control that's already built into your flow. Don't resist. Resistance causes pain.
Right. And is that the essence of giving control to the greatest power, meaning
In a
that it's
sense,
the gentlest touch?
yes, in a sense. Does this help?
Very helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
Bye for now.